You know, a lot of people see those family crests in the websites or internet. Well, this is one of the books that has those crests, that contains those images. I have the other books, probably showed in other videos. This is the crest of Great Britain and Ireland, Dominion of Canada, India, and Australasia. Australasia, derived from best authorities and family records. All right, this is an official, the Fairbairns crest, family crest. All right, collection. This is one of them right here. All right, the Archer. Now, if you go to the book, you can see what family it is. Number 5, it'll tell you in the book. You can go check it out. All right. These ain't slaves. These are family crest. You know. All right. And so as an example of one of the pages, just wanted to show you guys. I zoomed in into some of them. The whole book is filled with this. All right. And this is a close-up of number 7. All right. So what I've been trying to tell everybody is, you know, so what happened to all these dynastic so-called black families and all these dark Welsh and these swarthy Europeans? You know, did they just disappear and go to Africa? Is that what we're gonna believe? Is that what we're logically gonna say? And because when we're talking about indentured servitude and Europeans coming over here, I'm not just talking about light-skinned, pale Europeans. I'm talking about what they were calling the Black Dutch, the Swarthy Germans, the Black Irish, the Black Scots. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands, hundreds and thousands. I'm telling you, we've got the numbers. In case you haven't seen my videos of white servitude, indentured servitude, and I got a lot more coming. And it's just overwhelming, the amount of so-called black Europeans that were sent over here to work in plantations, tobacco, sugar plantations, to be, as convict prisoners of war, these Jacobites and all that. I'm going to show you today the muster rolls. All right, we're gonna show you what they look like, what they're described as. All right. A very famous family crest book of Great Britain. All right. And so again, this is what you find in this book, different crests. All right. And we're gonna zoom into a couple of them again. All right. Now, when I be saying, do you remember who you are? All right. We're all in a journey, right? We're all learning. I'm a student too. Doesn't mean I got all the answers just because I got all these videos and I'm reading all these books. I'm continuing to learn, and I'm starting to see a bigger picture here. A real bigger picture. Alright? And I hope that everybody understands what I'm saying and showing. There's another crest right here. Yes, these crests are associated to surnames. So again, but I just wanted to go straight to the source, because a lot of people, would say, well, how do we know that's real? And, we got this from the archives. They scanned that book.
How many of you guys knew the truth about your heritage, where you come from, everything? How many of you actually know that truth? Well, a lot of us, the truth has been withheld. The majority of us only know that we came from Africa, we don't know where we come from, and our history starts from slavery and Dr. Martin Luther King and that, Nat Turner, and that's it. Harriet Tubman, that's all we've been taught. Did you not know that the Japanese people, the people of Japan, that place was colonized with people that look like you, Africans, mainly from Uganda, centuries ago. What you think is impossible or there's no way it could be is actual facts. Look how close they are on the map. Ugandans and Africans would definitely travel out. Different tribes would go out to start their own tribe and go into other territories of land, because that place wasn't named Japan at the time. That land was belonging and shared with Africans. Sorry about that, y'all. And still, to this day, their names, the names that they have, are Ugandan names from the Bantu language. Some of them can even speak the Bantu language. Makato, Mazuka, Oyaka, Kanji, Sawa, Tendai, Kane, Kasi, Uma, Haruna, Obama, Kawana. All of these names are Ugandan names and Japanese names. But they are Ugandan Bantu names. That's where it comes from. And you have Japanese people walking around with these names. And no one ever thought to ask why. You were never taught this. Why do you think the Japanese government and the Ugandan government are always making deals? They're always competing with each other and accepting each other, whether it's Olympics or anything. They're in partnership with the education programs in Uganda. Everything with the Ugandans. They know. They know. The only person that don't know is you.
Let me start by explaining the basics of how this chart works. The vertical scale represents the flow of time, with time moving forward as you move down the page. Every white line represents 100 years, and the scale is equidistant, which means that the distance between two lines near the top of the chart is exactly the same as it is near the bottom. This is important because it allows for accurate comparisons to be made, and thus gives the viewer a proper perspective on time. Horizontally, the various sections of the chart represent different parts of the world. So on the far left, we have the Americas, followed by Africa, Europe, Asia, and finally the Pacific Islands. Every line on the chart represents a specific culture, civilization, or empire, and the width of the line represents the relative importance of that culture when compared to other cultures from the same time period or region. The next thing we need to talk about are the terms AD and BC, and their equivalents CE and BCE. AD means Anno Domini, which is Latin for in the year of the Lord. Basically, it's meant to measure the years from the birth of Jesus. Anything before that point is called BC, which stands for before Christ. Now, most scholars today have actually concluded that Jesus was probably born in 4 BC, so keep in mind that the scale is a bit off. So as we move backwards through time, the AD dates go down, but then once we get to BC, the dates start going back up. And I should point out that there is no year 0. So basically the year 1 BC was followed immediately by the year 1 AD. Nowadays, it's becoming more and more standard for historians to use the terms CE and BCE instead. CE stands for Common Era, and BCE stands for Before the Common Era.
The ancient Egyptians built one of the greatest empires in history, and despite facing many difficulties, managed to maintain their sovereignty over almost the entire Nile River Valley. But Africa has always been a gigantic continent, inhabited by many different peoples.
Olmec civilization. There was only a delicate consensus about who the Olmec were. Most scholars assume that this civilization was a fairly recent player in Mesoamerican history, and that they would have been contemporary with the classical Maya in the second half of the first millennium CE. It wasn't an unreasonable conclusion at the time. Remember, this was before carbon dating was being used in archaeology, and back then the best way to date Mesoamerican civilizations was by stratigraphy, or even better, by cataloging the dates on their monument inscriptions. Sterling, however, suspected that this civilization was much older. Unfortunately for Sterling, he had no hard proof to back up his theories. That is until one day when he chanced upon an incredible discovery, a broken Olmec stela with a partial date inscription. Although the second half of the date inscription was missing, he and his wife Marion deduced that the date on the stela was September 3rd, 32 BCE.
my enemies, I do it for my family. I can make an offer and you won't refuse me. Every move you make, I know before you do it. Call me a boss because I'm used to it. Flying out to Italy, vacations up in Sicily. Trying to know you so hard and then you probably sick of me. Gotta meet with Vito, trying to do illegal. When I try and get out, they try to push me back. This what they want with me, this how I'm giving it. Cigar in my mouth, someone all about my business. Killers in the house, get your loss. Ain't no witnesses, you got it, capiche? Praying to the priest, better I hope I don't come after you for fucking with my peeps. Heart's head in the bed, get your hunger by leash. Leave your wet up in the streets, you fucking with a beast. You say you won't come after me, I stay ready.
In 1998, the proceedings of the National Academy of Science concluded a study by the Chinese Human Genome Diversity Project and made public their findings, which stated that most of the population of modern China, 1/5 of all the people living today, owes its genetic origins to Africa. The study was the result of a consortium of several leading research groups in the People's Republic of China in combination with the Human Genetics Center at the University of Texas Health Center in Houston, Texas. In addition to genetic evidence linking China to Africa, archaeological evidence has recorded close to 100 pyramids that are located in a 100-kilometer area around the city of Xi in central China. I can't help but wonder, why are these pyramids shrouded in mystery? What are they hiding? In later ages, they were responsible in 210 for constructing an elaborate tomb for Shen Shi Hujuan. His body is guarded by an army of soldiers, warriors made out of the terracotta. They are also credited with building the Great Wall of China. That's right, folks. Black people had a very big hand in the building of the Great Wall of China. There is also evidence of a substantial population of blacks in early China. Archaeological studies have located an infrastructure which was inhabited by blacks in early Chinese history, and reports of major kingdoms ruled by blacks are frequent in Chinese documents. In the earliest Chinese history, several texts in classical books spoke of these diminutive blacks. The Toruli, composed under the dynasty of Tivu, 1122 to 249 BC, give description of the inhabitants with black features. Chinese folklore speak often of these blacks and mention an emperor of Chinese named Li, 373 to 397. He was companion of the emperor Xiao Wenwei, who is spoken of as being black African, and the kingdom of blacks in the southwest of China. Chinese folklore speak often of these blacks and mention an emperor of Chinese named Li, companion of the emperor Xiao Wen of Wei, who is spoken of being black African, and the kingdom of blacks in the southwest of China. The sacred Manchu dynasty shows a great multitude of black people. Emperor Po Yi of the Manchu Kawa, direct descendants of the Manchu ruler of China, is most distinctly black. Chinese Chronicle reports that a black empire existed in the south of China at the beginning of the country's history. So you see, folks, black people were there at the very beginning. In Sheikh Anta Diop's writing, African Origin of Civilization, the ancient black royal house of China, 1766, 1100 BC, called the Shang, contributed mightily to China's earliest known civilization. Now, this history is a little known fact in black history. The fact that black people were at the very beginning of the Chinese Empire lets us know that we have a history that is unexplored and that is many times, unfortunately, hidden from us. The truth of the matter is, we don't need to take a backseat to anybody, because oftentimes you will find that we were there at the very beginning of the establishment of great civilizations.